Hello, this video talks about a very important house, which is the fifth house. The fifth house is also called the Putra Bhava, meaning the house related to children. Now, this house represents the children, of course, and also the relationship with children and also their well-being. It also signifies intelligence and creativity. So, something related to creative intelligence, or something related to where your artistic creativity can be put to use. So, fifth house is extremely important because it means intelligence of the higher level. This house actually is a very auspicious house also because it represents your past good or bad karmas and how they will be affecting your present day life. Now, as we know that we are getting in this lifetime what we have earned in our past lives, and that's what the Hindu philosophy and the theory of karma is all about. And you can pretty much read a lot through this fifth house on that aspect. It is also called the house of prarabdha. Prarabdha in Sanskrit means the balance of karma which is brought over to this lifetime and which will be manifested in a person's lifetime. So normally people call it a punya bhava, but you might not have done punya, which is good deeds, in your past life. So this house, if malefics occupy this house, then of course it says about a lot actually about your past life bad karma. And if benefics occupy this house, then it says a lot about your past life good karma and how those karmas are going to manifest. It's not about just good karma in your past life, but fifth house is about how those karmas or your deeds will bring fruit in this present lifetime. Also, a few astrologers have associated this house to determine your Ishta Devata. Now, Ishta Devata, and we're going to have a video, another video on Ishta Devata in detail, but pretty much in a nutshell, Ishta Devata is the deity which that individual or that form of God which that individual can relate to, and he has been relating to this particular God for the last several lives. So there is a connection with this particular deity or God based on past life relationship or past life worship or whatever. There has to be some relationship, but Ishtadevta is pretty much that deity whom the person can relate to. And normally it is seen that Ishtadevta is a devata or a god where if a person is going through some difficulty and he goes to his Ishtadevata, the Hindus believe that the Ishtadevata is the first devata or god which will come to your rescue in times of trouble. Fifth house also by a few astrologers is described as a house of wealth, but not like the house of wealth which we have discussed as the second house of wealth, but it relates with extreme wealth, crazy wealth. So one is wealth, and of course second house is directly related to wealth. But when you talk about something unusually high, you have to look at the fifth house and see. I mean, wealth, of course, we all have wealth, but if you see a chart, one in millions or one in hundreds of thousands, which depicts some kind of a new unusual wealth, then we have to look at the fifth house and see, well, what is the good aspect here? And maybe it is coming to the fifth house. And more so, it makes sense because we just discussed that the fifth house is the fruits of the past life karma, and the fifth house also manifests through wealth, because also fifth house by the Hindus is called the Lakshmi Sthana. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and prosperity. So she manifests her prosperity and luck and wealth rather through the fifth house. So she gives extreme wealth if she comes in as a benefic who wants to provide to her devotees. So so this is what the fifth house is about. Also, the fifth house is related to speculation. And again, speculation, people get good luck, fortune, and speculation, gambling, that's related to the fifth house. And once again, why do people win in speculation or gambling, and why some people lose is because obviously there is a connection. It's a Lakshmi Sthana, house of prosperity and wealth, and also the Purya Punya, which is what fruits we are going to get in this lifetime. So speculation and gambling are also, or investing rather, gambling is not a good word to mention here, but investing has a direct connection with the fifth house. As far as the body parts are concerned, the fifth house rules over the stomach area, pretty much the abdomen and the stomach area. Now Parashara, Sage Parashara, has also mentioned a lot of combinations related to the fifth house, and let us see what the great sage Parashara has mentioned about the fifth house. One of the combinations which Parashara has mentioned is that if the lord of the Lagna and the lord of the fifth house are in their own zodiac signs, or they are both in an angle house, and we know angle houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, or in a trine, which is 1, 5, and 9, one will enjoy through the happiness of children. So the children are going to provide him a lot of happiness. So, but the condition is the lord of the Lagna has to be in his own house, and the lord of the fifth lord of the Lagna has to be in his own sign, zodiac sign, and the lord of the fifth also has to be in its own zodiac sign, or both the lords of the Lagna and the lord of the fifth have to be in an angle house or in a trine house. So this is an extremely auspicious combination as far as the fifth house is concerned, and of course the signification is children. So children is going to bring a lot of happiness to that person with this combination. Now Parashara also says, now he goes to the malefic houses. Now he says that if the fifth lord be in the sixth, the eighth, or the 12th house, these are the Dusthana house, and some astrologers call these as a trick house as well, the 6th, 8th, and 12th. He says that should the fifth lord be either in the 6th or the 8th or the 12th house, there will be no children. Now we'll have to check charts, and during those days when they mentioned children or putra bhava, they associated a child with a male child only. So I think we will have to check a lot of birth charts and see this combination, and you will see that yes, the male child, the possibility of getting a male child gets reduced considerably when the fifth lord be in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house, as per what Parashara has also mentioned here. Parashar also goes on to say that in case the lord of the fifth be combust means, it's not in power because of its close proximity with the sun, or the lord of the fifth be with malefics and be weak, because once it's going to be with malefics, it'll be afflicted. And then also he has mentioned that in case they are weak, then also there will be no children. So he's talking about the lord of the fifth right now. He's not talking about the planets placed in the fifth. He's talking about the lord of the fifth be either in sixth, eighth, or 12th, or the lord of the fifth be combust, or the lord of the fifth be with malefics, or the lord of the fifth be weak. There will be no children. And again, no children would mean no male children here. So you'll see the possibility of male children gets reduced here, and of course the possibility of children gets reduced, but we've seen cases where male children definitely makes a lot of sense here, as far as this combination is concerned, that there will be no male children. But there have been cases where there have been female children, so we can infer from here that years ago, since it's a putra bhava, or the fifth house is concerned or related to the male child, that's what sage Parashara probably meant. Also, he says that in case the lord of the fifth be afflicted or with malefics, or be weak or combust, even if the person has a child, there is a chance that they will leave the world soon, meaning that they may die. So this is one combination he has mentioned. He has also mentioned that if the fifth lord and the lagna lord be together in one house, that will mean that a person will have children and will get happiness through them. But the condition is that the lord of the fifth house and the lord of the lagna house should be sitting in a good house. And in case a good house would mean either the angle houses or the trine houses. And then he says that in case the lord of the fifth and the lord of the lagna sit together, but this time if they sit together in an evil house, of course the person will have a children with a lot of difficulty. And also, once they have children, they will not be able to get happiness through the children. Another combination which sage Parashara mentions, that if the fifth lord is in the sixth house and the lagna lord is conjunct with Mars, the person can even lose his first child. So that's also another very, very evil or a bad combination. And he even goes on to mention that in this combination, his wife may not be able to have another child after they lose their first child. So this is a very, very difficult combination. Fifth lord in the sixth house and the lagna lord is conjunct with Mars. So we have to remember this as we do the readings in our future videos when we come across the case studies. Now Parashara also says that in case the fifth lord be in a fall or be debilitated, sitting in sixth house, eighth house, or 12th house, and Mercury and Ketu are sitting in the fifth house. So the fifth lord has to be in sixth, eighth, or 12th as a debilitated planet in its debilitated sign, and at the same time Mercury and Ketu are sitting in the fifth house, then he will just have one child. Well, it's good because at least he'll have a child. It's not as bad as the earlier combinations which Parashara has mentioned. Again, another combination which sage Parashara gives here is if the ninth lord be in the lagna house and the fifth lord is debilitated, and Ketu and Mercury are sitting in the fifth together, then this is a very difficult combination to have children. So clearly he has provided, Sage Parashara has provided a lot of combinations related to children as far as the fifth house lord is concerned. And also he has given combinations that if the fifth lord is in a problematic position, and then planets, difficult planets like Mercury and Ketu are sitting there, then it becomes very difficult to have children and to obtain happiness through them. Also, there's another very interesting combination which Sage Parashara has given. He has said that if the fifth house be owned by Saturn, or if Saturn is sitting in the fifth house, or Mercury, so either Saturn or Mercury are sitting in the fifth house, and also another condition with this is that it should be aspected by Saturn. Then one will not have their own children. He may have to adopt. So the connection here is the fifth house should have either Saturn or Mercury sitting, and in case Saturn is not sitting, if it's aspecting Mercury, which is sitting in the fifth house, then a person will have adopted children. Also, Sage Parashara has mentioned that there will be many children in case the fifth house lord is strong, and fifth house is aspected by a strong Mercury, Jupiter and Venus. So he's talking about certain charts do have this combination where they have these three planets, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus aspecting the fifth house, and the fifth house is strong. So that's one particular combination where he says that there will be many children. And it makes a lot of sense because there are three planets which are aspecting the fifth house, and the fifth house is strong. So the energies of these three planets will be influencing the fifth house along with the fifth house lord, which itself is strong. So it makes a lot of sense that the person will have a lot of children. And there are a lot of other there are a lot of other combinations which Sage Parashara has mentioned about having children related to the fifth house, and about having problems in having children and obtaining happiness from them related to the fifth house. But very clearly he has given a very, very strong connection of the fifth house with children only. And we did discuss about other significations of the fifth house which Parashara has not mentioned, but yes, we did mention earlier about the other significations, about the Ishta Devata, and that's coming from other scriptures, not from Parashara. Also about the karmas, about speculation, about entertainment, all these things we also discussed about the fifth house. But I've just mentioned a few combinations related to the fifth house which Sage Parashara has mentioned, and very clearly he has given a direct connection with the strength of the fifth house lord related to children, with the effects of malefics on the fifth house related to not having children, with the effects and aspects of the benefits on the fifth house which can give strong children, many children, and happiness out of children. So this ends our discussion on the fifth house in detail. And of course, this is a topic which can go on for hours and hours because the scriptures are too long explaining what different combinations are related to the fifth house. But pretty much we can sum up the fifth house based on a few combinations which Parashara has mentioned, and a few significations of the fifth house which we discussed before that. Thank you.